earlier, and like, you're gonna be like, oh, I've got 2 minutes, and those things are gonna go down, and you're like,
I forgot about today's meeting, and I didn't cook anything, and so we had to go out to dinner.
Oh.
And then,
so sad.
yeah, so I ended up having to let Charlie out at the corner of Primrose Lane and West Carondelet in order to get here on time.
That's awesome. You should have made like a big scene out of it, like just to make neighbors wonder.
Get out of my car.
Don't call me.
Good evening. I'd like to call this Wednesday, September 14th, 2022 meeting of the City of Manassas Park Planning Commission to order. The time is 7 p.m. My name is Lester Finkel. Sitting this evening are John Evans, Alana Mensing, and Michael Beckett's. First agenda item we have is the invocation and moment of silence. Commissioner Evans, will you lead us in that?
Will do.
Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next agenda item is the approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda for this evening? Seeing none, would anyone care to make a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Motion, second.
Second.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Next agenda item is the adoption of minutes from our August 10th, 2022 meeting. Are there any changes for that set of meeting minutes? I didn't see anything either, so would anyone care to make a motion to adopt the meeting minutes for the August 10th, 2022 meeting as is?
So moved.
Motion, second.
Second.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously.
Abstain.
Yes, you were abstaining, so just record show Commissioner Evans abstained. Next agenda item is the time for members of the public to speak. Are there any members of the public present? Okay. If you'll state your name and address for the record, and then you may speak.
Good evening. My name is Charlie Grimes. I live at 6836 General Longstreet's Line in Manassas,
Okay.
Prince William County, actually. I'm the chair of the Greater Prince William Trails Coalition, and I'm here to express our appreciation for the City of Manassas Park's interest in building a connected network of trails that link up to Manassas, Prince William County, might connect Signal Bay Water Park to Splashdown Water Park. We're a coalition of about 25 organizations. We're the folks who give a hoot about trails. And they're always the second thing to be thought of after we build the road. We think they need to be the first thing to think of for building ourselves walkable communities where we live, work, and play. And we're particularly interested in making sure that the cities are well integrated with Prince William County's trails network. They're doing a mobility chapter. They're working their way through the process to decide if they care about trails here and trails there. We think that there's opportunities within the City of Manassas Park to improve your own trails network, but especially to link up to even Fairfax County, connecting across Bull Run. So Stephen Hall has done a delight to work with. We thank you for having the forward thought of incorporating trails as part of your comprehensive plan, building a transportation network that's more than just cars. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Any other? Oh, of course. Administrator Barry?
Thank you. I just wanted to address the gentleman's comments. In fact, we just had a meeting today, a kickoff meeting, a pre-kickoff meeting. We are planning to do a comprehensive transportation plan that includes bicycles and everything that you mentioned about connectivity to the various abutting jurisdictions we definitely talked about. And we mentioned your group specifically as one of the stakeholders in this plan process. So it hasn't been a formal kickoff meeting, but and Steve is the one who's shepherding this, and I agree with you. He's wonderful to work for, and he's on top of every issue that you spoke about, so hopefully we can, it's going to be moving forward fairly soon, and expect some contact and reach out from him when the stakeholder process begins.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public like to speak? Okay, thank you. The next agenda item is public hearing, which is a waiver, which are waivers associated with site plan SP number 20-02, WAI number 20-2A-F, and PFW number 20-2A and B, 8-acre Phase 2. Who will be making the presentation for the applicant this evening?
If I may, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
If we could kind of take all three items together,
Okay.
because they're all related, but then have separate motions or actions for the different
Okay.
various, because it all overlaps.
Fine, so once we close, then
right.
I will
Yeah,
ask for a
so,
motion for
yeah,
each one then.
I mean, this is the public hearing one.
but we can
Correct, yeah.
Recognize the others as a part of
Yes.
the public hearing? Okay,
Correct.
very good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Administrator Berry. So then I will also indicate that during this public hearing, we'll also be taking care of site plan SP number 20-2, 8-acre Phase 2, subdivision plan SD number 20-2, 8-acre Phase 2, and site plan SP number 21-03, VRE Garage. So with that, at this time, I'll ask for the applicant to make a presentation. Please state your name and affiliation for the record, and please begin.
Thank you. Hi. Can everyone hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, name is Firas Hakim. I'm with Urban Engineering. We are the civil engineer for this project.
Okay.
And I can begin going through the slideshow here. Pretty straightforward. This is just a GIS aerial view of the site, pretty close to here, close to Manassas Drive and Euclid Avenue. Its project is about 8 acres. Whoops, I'm on the wrong screen. All right, let's try this. Okay. More of a zoomed out overview to show everyone where we are. We are actually at the border of the Prince William County and the city of Manassas Park. We're adjacent to the Osborne Park High School. This may be a little out of order, but this is just our map we use for our stormwater analysis for water quality and water quantity. The site is treated partially by the Prince William County School Board pond, which is, if you can see my mouse, right there. And then the rest is being treated by the existing Connor Center pond in this area. Just a schematic view of the site. So the site consists of 2 buildings. One is a residential building, multifamily. The other is an office building, multiple uses. As you can see, pretty straightforward. We've got, this shows you the parking, the layout. There's a shared central drive aisle. Euclid Avenue is on the west side here. And this just demonstrates the parking, that we exceed the parking required by about 10 spaces. This is the list of waivers, which we can go through in more detail. And you can and feel free to stop me whenever you want. A more detailed view of the overall site. This would be the school board parcel to the south, Euclid to the west. Some existing buildings over to the north and to the east. More zoomed in version. The grading plan, nice gentle slopes around here. Nothing too extreme. There is a bit of a retaining wall. This is the outfall to the pond. You can see the storm drain network. We are taking on some off-site water. But overall, I would say the impervious area is slightly less than what was originally accounted for. landscaping plan, shows the peripheral landscaping. There are some frontage improvements along Euclid. There's some landscaping and some street lights. And, well, this is just the plat showing whoops, let me go back. Showing the different easements. This is that central drive aisle. There are a few easements being vacated, and the rest are just, on-site utility easements for water, storm drainage, ingress, egress, and that's pretty much it. Pretty straightforward. I can go back to the list of waivers that apply.
Yes, if you could just
Yeah.
take us through.
A lot of them are related. Several have to do with parking. For example, there's I can start from the top.
Yes, thank you.
Impervious area, so we have a max allowed is 75% in this zone, but we have slightly more than that, and the justification was the site was originally accounted for when the existing stormwater ponds that I mentioned were designed. They accounted for a much higher impervious area. The next is parking spaces. The dimensions, typical parking space is 9 feet wide by 18 feet long, so we are narrowing down the width to 8.5 to fit more parking. This is a pretty constricted site. The parking bays, we allow, instead of 90 feet in max length, some of them are a little bit longer to account for some extra spaces, to fit more spaces. Parking spaces required, we did reduce the ratio from 1.75 spaces per residential unit down to 1.5. And similarly for the, for the dwelling unit, it's 1 space for 10 dwelling units, and I think we kept that one, but overall there may be some shared parking between the two different adjacent uses, but we do have we are providing more than what we've asked to waive. Bicycle parking, there is a slight reduction in bicycle parking spaces. Landscaping, again, there is a slight reduction from a 10-foot width to a 5-foot width. And private street maximum trip count is 700 vehicles per day. This is a private street, and we have exceeded that by, I forget how much, but it's a very short run of private street. And similarly, we are not proposing sidewalks. It's more of an ingress, egress, access path than a full-blown street, and will only be used for these two users. Are there any questions so far?
Questions from commissioners?
I have a question about the impervious surface. Are we concerned about flooding? We just had a recent big thing of flooding just 2 days ago. Is that going to impact? I don't know if that question's for you or for...
Yeah, I can answer that. So this site does drain to 2 different ponds. The school site, the school, Prince William County School Pond is here, and when this pond was originally designed, it accounted for about half of our 8-acre site flowing to that pond, and now it's a small fraction of an acre. It's not even 10% instead of half. And then the Connor Center Pond, it also accounted for this entire site flowing to that pond at a higher impervious ratio and completely impervious. So they both of these ponds accounted for this site in the long story. So I guess we're less than what was accounted for overall. But yeah, there are always storms that exceed what was designed. You can never tell. But in terms of the standard, required quantity, yeah, this is accounted for, and we're less than what was accounted for.
Okay, thank you. My next question is about the bicycle parking waiver. That's quite a reduction in bicycle parking, especially for something that's going to be so close to our downtown where we're encouraging pedestrian use.
Right.
How how would that impact you if you didn't quite reduce it so much? What would the loss be? I guess my question is, how big is a bicycle space?
Right. Do you remember how many parking spaces, bike parking spaces required? I mean,
We would require you to have
I'm sorry, how many were provided on this plan?
28 plus 29, but you guys are only going to do, yeah, 57 required, 32.
Okay, and these are all, so your question was, how would that impact?
Yeah, personally, I would not like to see the sacrifice in bicycle parking, but I was just wondering if you could kind of take me behind the logic of that.
Yeah, I guess, this is for the multifamily dwellings. Let's see.
Can I interfere for a second?
Sure.
Sorry. Again, my name is Titi Hassan, was a developer. Good evening, everybody. My name is Titi Hassan, I'm with DMSI and also on the developer side. Initially on this parking, as you see, we have an office, which is a day parking, and a parking and an apartment. And at the same time, we needed to provide an extra parking for the social service that already under the area. So initially, when we initiated this, we committed to a certain number of parking and signed off, I think, by the city before we started the project. And the goal is to meet that number regardless, and that's why we were tight. If that number, we have permission on that, yes, we can have more. If that number stays, it's difficult to meet the price. Am I correct?
Will the apartments have place to store the bicycles indoors?
It's not like the other, where the first floor is retail. It's all apartment, so it's going to be kind of difficult. But we have some use the landscape area, we might be able to provide that. So if we can reduce the landscape from 73 to maybe 65, then we might provide that. Am I correct to that?
Right.
Okay.
Hopefully I did answer that. So.
Yeah, thank you.
I will say that, the office building will be used at different times than the residential building, so if there is a need for surplus, they could, and that was one of the justifications for vehicle parking as well, is that those uses wouldn't overlap.
Is there consideration given to how people are working more remotely and in hybrid ways now, that people may be home more frequently during the day than they may have been in the past, considering the number of parking spots that I think you said it's typically 1.75, and you've reduced
Right.
that down to 1.5.
Yeah, and well, first of all, this project was started pretty long ago, before COVID got really heavy. But if that is true, that would mean the office, if people are spending less time in the office, then that would just mean this office building would be underutilized, and there'd be more parking available for residents. I mean, there is a shared parking agreement. But yeah, I mean, it's a growing concern in all counties. Yeah.
Will the residential unit have, will any of them have a balcony where they could possibly store their bicycle?
Balcony? No.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Other questions at this time?
No, not right now.
Commissioner Beckett, you good?
No, not right now.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you. I can close out of this.
At this time, we'll move to city staff input. Administrator Barry, would you like to begin?
Thank you. I think we did cover the waivers pretty specifically. I just, if your only questions are on the bicycle questions, you know, as part of the site plan approval, you could request that additional spaces be added as a recommendation from the Planning Commission. However, you know, the waiver is what the waiver is. I mean, you could approve it, I guess, at a greater or higher number if you so choose. But I don't, maybe the applicant would like to work with you on that specific number, because I think the way the bicycles spaces were laid out, it's like a run of 8 in different, like 2 on the apartment parcel green area and 2 on the office space, abutting, you know, green area and sidewalk. So I don't know if there could be some kind of accommodation for additional parking spaces that you would like to see. However, I don't want to shortchange the applicant in terms of trying to, you know, find a suitable or appropriate number that's suitable for them, but meets the needs of the commissioner's desires about how enough parking. I will say that in comparison, when we did the Village of Manassas Park, it was 1 for every 25 residential units for the bicycle spaces. Having said that, though, of course, they do have space in their garage for the parking, so I see your point about that there's probably not, and we do have 110 units there. So I don't know, would the applicant like to have some additional time or come up with some kind of number, or the Planning Commission could make a recommendation on the waiver, and we could try to work through that to the governing body?
We have a green space area, we can put it terrace around the apartment building. And that could be utilized for parking if you insist to maintain the car parking number that you said you don't want.
Yeah.
And then probably, maybe we can do kind of grass paved. So we keep the grass, but the meter is really designed where
it's just as
really
good.
pavement, but it's
Well, I
not.
didn't have the site plan in there, really.
Grass paved, exactly, it's like a grade.
Yes.
Can carry the bicycle,
Is
but
the
the
folder
grass
still
can
there?
go.
Yeah.
So we keep the green area,
Yes.
keep the grass paved,
And-
and we
yeah,
can do
presentation.
bicycle parking if that's okay with the city.
Yeah, okay.
That's all?
Yes.
Okay?
Or you can
Thank
try
you.
this PDF. Yeah, no?
Yeah, all the units have batteries, that's for bicycle, but we can also do a grass paved area.
Try the presentation again.
Identical to the existing building.
If you
Yeah,
do repair.
Here's the one who did the first building.
yeah, it's very nice,
This
yeah.
one, I think probably is one of the
Yeah, here it
nicest
goes.
buildings in the area, so hopefully this will be a little bit better.
Not to mention the city of Manassas Park.
Yeah, it looks like,
The colored copy, maybe, if you have the colored.
yeah,
The master plan?
I can pull that up. Yeah, it seems like there's
The
some,
green space around the building.
Yeah,
yeah.
And now, with the city permission, we can meet that requirement. How many extra bicycles will it be, 20 or?
I'll defer to the commissioners to, I mean, maybe another,
Yeah, and
they're in groups of 8, maybe,
this shows the current,
16?
16.
is that, if that's
I think 16.
16? Okay. So on each side of the building, we can add 8 beautiful.
yeah.
And does not impact us at all.
I mean, these grayish rectangles you see at the corners, we can extend those and they won't impact the landscaping.
perfect, that'd be great.
Yeah, we'll
Thank you.
just extend those.
Thank you.
And then, it seems like we have a similar, I think we exceed for the office building. We have these 2 corners. But, yeah, this looks like there's room to grow these.
Group of 8, we can add.
Yeah, okay.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
And then there is a question about the,
Sure.
did we hear that there are no sidewalks on the street part? Is that what we heard about the private street there? Is that?
Right, and that's this central drive aisle. And And that's because it really is just a drive aisle, but there are, you can argue there are sidewalks, they're just further out, along each building frontage. So we didn't want redundant, parallel sidewalks, and then have another set of sidewalks.
Okay, so your intent is to count the sidewalks nearby the structure than
Right.
having it nearby
Yeah.
the street?
Yeah, 'cause
Commissioner Evans, did you want
Right.
to follow up on that?
So basically, coming from Euclid, the folks in the Outlook area, if they were coming down that stretch using that roadway to get to the city center, there's no sidewalks in that first section until they get to the building. Is that correct?
No, I don't think so, but whichever you have some driveway.
So, Russ, did
Sorry.
you want to?
Yes.
So it's hard to see, and this one shows it better. So, the requirement is to have it along
Yeah,
the
this-
private road, right? So
Yeah.
and the buildings and the parking are in the way. But there is
Yeah,
crosswalks.
there is a path.
a sidewalk path
Gotcha.
with pedestrian, and then
Yeah.
it
I didn't
goes
see
in
that
front of
Yeah,
the-
it wasn't shown on the landscape, but
Yeah.
there is
in
a,
front, and then
yeah.
more crosswalks here. So it's not directly next to the street or with the planting strip, but there are pedestrian pathways.
That clarifies it. Thank you.
And so, just because I'm using a small screen and that's sort of blurry for me, so folks can actually drive from Euclid all the way down through Nadia to get sort of through to downtown? Okay. Be interesting. Be helpful.
So with respect to the 16 bike parking spaces, which one would that be associated with when it comes time for a motion for? No, sure, take your time. I just wanted to make sure, you don't have to say it now, but if, before we get to the point of closing, I just want to make sure I know which one so that we can make sure we have appropriate language there to capture that, because that would be appreciated.
There's a right hand, I swear.
So moved, is that?
It's waiver 20-02E, WAI 20-02 for the bicycle. And I would just substitute it was 32 to make it to.
42, 48, is that with the 16? Okay.
Mass, somebody corrects 32 to 16.
Is that 48?
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So for the WAI number 20-2A-F, that'll be 48 instead of the 32.
No, it's 20-02E and.
02E, okay.
Is there a way we can also, if that's okay, we can add to use the green area around the apartment building? So,
Good.
Well, that's at your discretion, really. You committed to putting it there. The waiver is just really for the zoning.
Is there an E on here?
Right.
Let's see.
Right.
22-02. Is it WAI?
A through F.
Say E, so then it's on the E of that.
Yeah.
A through F, very good. Thank you. So we would just say 48 bicycle parking.
I would say you modified it by increasing it from.
32 to 48. Okay. So I'll remind myself there when I get to the motion. Thank you for that. Okay, very good. Cool. Thank you. Any other questions from commissioners at this time for applicant? Thank you.
Thank you.
Administrator Barry, did you want to continue, or, thank you for that, allowing us to pursue that there.
Okay.
Yeah, since we've gone over the presentation, unless you have questions, it's really more of the requested, let me put it in presentation on. we touched on the waivers, just for, and Ross mentioned it, that the site plan does meet all engineering and stormwater management landscaping requirements, except for the waivers that are requested, and the subdivision, which is dividing the two properties, or the one property into two, basically having each building as their own separate parcel. That is the proposed subdivision, and it does meet our subdivision regulations. So they are in compliance with the zoning ordinance, except for the waivers requested. Excuse me. Let's see. Okay, so to help the Planning Commission, I kind of put over the requested actions for the 3 separate items. Again, the waivers are a public hearing item, so you would need to close the hearing for that. And then, modify the specific waiver, the 2002.
Or the initial one for the public, the public hearing specific, and then the other 2 we'll just take as they are. Good, thank you. Are there any members of the public present? Okay, just wanted to make sure for the record, no members of the public are
And
present.
staff does
Thank you.
recommend approval of the waivers,
Okay.
as well as the site plan and subdivision plan.
Okay, great. Any other questions from commissioners for applicant and/or city staff before we close? Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Then at this time, I will ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
Moved.
Motion, second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. So then I will start with, is there any discussion, or shall I start with a motion for the public hearing waivers? Okay. Good. So let me ask for a motion to recommend to the governing body approval of the waivers, WAI number 20-2A-F, with a change to E with respect to moving the 32 bicycle parking spaces to 48 parking spaces, and PFW number 20-2A and B. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. If there's no discussion, then I'll move on to ask for a motion regarding recommending to the zoning administrator of approval for site plan SP number 20-2, 8-acre Phase 2. Is there a motion?
Moved.
Second?
So moved.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to subdivision plan, is there a motion for recommendation of approval to the zoning administrator for SD number 20-2, 8-acre Phase 2?
Moved.
Motion, second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. And I will ask for a motion regarding site plan recommendation to approve to the zoning administrator for site plan SP number 21-03, the VRE garage. Motion?
We
haven't been
talked
there.
about it.
That is a separate.
That is a separate one.
Yes.
I am sorry there. Okay, very good. I sort of thought it was all together there. So good. All right. That would have been very good there. All right. Okay. I was thinking we were all done. Okay, good.
Couldn't get off that easy.
We're ready to leave.
You were ready to go. I tried. Okay, I tried. I knew you wanted to leave. Very good. So, now we'll move along to agenda item 7D, which is site plan SP number 21-03, the VRE garage. The applicant ready to make a presentation?
Yes, good evening. I'm Jim Long. I'm the lead engineer for the project with VHB.
Cool.
And Dallas Richards from chief engineer from VRE is here.
Great.
So just forward here.
Yes, or that down arrow. Or on the computer.
Here we go.
There you go.
So this is the VRE garage site plan. We've highlighted it. It's essentially the piece of land that was previously subdivided by the development that's ongoing out here. We've essentially are working with that site. The garage, essentially, we've pretty much filled up the site with and tying into the driveways that were just recently built, and the driveway that's been deferred here. We'll be using this as a staging area that we've worked out with the city and Laszlo. So that's kind of the so we have 3 entrances. This is the entrance to the lower level, which the city will control, and there's no connection between the other two levels, and there's the two entrances to the garage. They're not they're full entrances. They're not designated in or out, given the volumes are relatively low. And this is the site plan for the other side. This essentially shows where the bridge tower lands across. We have a new bridge and elevator tower, some updated parking for the ADA parking. That puts the ADA parking close to the new elevator tower, with the assumption that some riders will want to use the elevator tower rather than the stairs. We're above. We have plenty of clearance with Norfolk Southern, and the bridge structure and the garage structure are essentially independent structures. So the bridge structure just kisses the garage structure and does not rely on it structurally. And there are some renderings that we wound up doing for Laszlo and previously, and for Michelle. We wound up, this is the garage from the townhome vision, from that side. We have a rendering from the new City Hall. And then we have from the surface parking lot, obviously the stair tower has been removed, so it shows diagrammatically where the bridge ties in to the garage, and then the vision from Park Central Plaza in terms of what it looks like. The architecture was already, the facade treatment was already approved by the governing body. And then this is kind of an isometric of the stair tower, how it's going to look, and how it relates to the garage. We do have two, the elevator tower, and we have a mechanical room and electrical room in terms of what was required for the project. And then we did work with the city to have a concept landscape plan. There was a screening from the track, so the garage foundation was screened, and then landscaping that is pretty much matches the rest of the landscape materials that matched what's throughout the rest of the development, generally speaking. And that's it.
Questions from commissioners? Okay. No questions. Thank you for the presentation.
Isn't there a fence as well?
Oh, yes, we're working, yes, there's been discussion of a decorative fence that goes up that's going to match. There was some concern about the standard Norfolk Southern fence. That, maybe it's on the site plan.
Standard. Not much.
Yeah, it's on a different plan, but there will be a fence along the right-of-way that matches the fence that was selected by the city. It's kind of a decorative metal fence. It's not a cattle fence.
For once.
They're not known for their
No.
aesthetic.
Correct, yes. Yes. Okay, thank you. Administrator Barry?
I've gotten off easy tonight because the presentations have been so thorough. So I really just only have a few comments. One of my concerns specifically was if you look at this plan, is that, I'm here, you notice that there's a little area that's going to be screened. There's mechanical equipment in there. And what you don't really see, this is basically where the condos are going to be. So there is about 20 feet between them. So I was concerned about the visual on that. And true to form, VRE came through and provided a photo. Just give me 1 second so I can get it up. It's on this one. Yeah. So that's what that is going to look like. So no cinder block structure. So at least that will be aesthetically pleasing. I believe it's 6 feet in height about. So the visual aspect for those townhomes won't be too great, and really would almost kind of serve as a privacy fence feel that you see throughout townhome communities. So I was really pleased to see that and just wanted to point that out.
This matches the detail you gave us from another one of the projects here, so it was sympathetic with what's palette of materials is already out here. So.
And Oliver, not only is it aesthetically pleasing, but it houses behind it an emergency backup generator, which can be a little loud, right? So it helps with the sound as well. They do have to be cycled frequently, just for good measure, to make sure they're in working order when we need them. So it's cycled once a week when fuel if necessary, that sort of thing.
Great.
The site plan has been reviewed and it meets all engineering and zoning requirements. And staff recommends approval of the site plan.
Very good.
And thanks VRE for their cooperation. We are very excited about this project, so just to add that in, we're really looking forward to it, so thank you.
Likewise, I would like to iterate and show our appreciation for city staff. It's been a pleasure to work with Laszlo and Michelle. It's been really nice. It's been a long, ongoing sort of thing for quite some time, as you know, pre-pandemic, and moving the site of the location, physical location from previous iterations has betterment to everyone, I believe. So it's great. It cost us some time, but
It's good that we're here now. Very good. Thank you. Any questions from commissioners? Okay, thank you. So after the rehearsal, the dress rehearsal, find myself at the same spot I was there earlier. Just wanted to get a run through on it there. If commissioners don't have any discussion, then I'll ask for a motion.
So moved.
Okay, so motion for recommendation to zoning administrator of approval for SP number 21-03 for the VRE garage. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much.
thank you so much.
Moving along. Yes, you are. Yes, no more. It's official now. You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one question. Who's going to be the city's replacement for Mr. Banks on our board? That's what I thought, so.
I'll see you on Friday.
Very good. How about the informational update from community development staff? Administrator Barry?
Thank you. I hope I'm not double echoing. So we are moving along with projects, just in a certain fashion. Just first of all, our CIP cycle has started again.
All right.
So the call for projects has begun. I know. Can you believe it? Right.
Oh, boy.
Poor Keith. But that has to occur, I believe, like September 1st, and projects do have to be back, I believe, in early November, if not November 1st. So those project sheets requests have gone out, and we'll be working behind the scenes on that to bring you a draft CIP in about February, so that's always nice to know.
It'll be food time again there, a little food and drink time there, make sure.
Just-
Make sure
and,
we'll have these
yeah,
things good.
Well, I'll bring the
We'll
snacks
coordinate,
again, yeah.
we'll coordinate, that's all right.
And from an enforcement perspective, we did recently adopt a trash ordinance that does require people to not only put trash in bags, but also in the bins. And they can't have any of trash outside. I mean, you will see those kind of stored sometimes in bags. That will not be permitted. It's going to be an educational campaign at first, so you will be seeing flyers and papers stuck to people's doors for informational purposes. I think we are going to be starting enforcement
October?
of that.
I see.
Yes.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Because there was a flyer in
There
the
was.
mailer for the water
Correct.
bill. I saw that
Yes.
yesterday.
So, I just wanted that is taking place, and my enforcement officers are gearing up to do that,
Okay.
along with not only trash, but we remember we adopted the commercial vehicle ordinance, but also the parking. So that when, we're really going to try to pursue towing inoperable vehicles. I'm sorry, I meant inoperable vehicles. So we're trying to come up with a process to do that. It streamlines it. Because it's now out of the zoning ordinance, it's not a zoning matter where we're taking it to court as we used to, so we're trying to do the civil penalties, and as the ordinance reads, we can tow after the second time, after 10 days. So we're trying to work on that instead of taking those cases to court. I think if you get so many fines on that, then then we can take you to court, but hopefully those will be very few and far
Dissuade
between.
by the
Right,
progressive
right.
monetary
Yes.
penalties there. Okay.
And then finally, we are working on the comprehensive plan review for you for next month.
Great.
And I'm going to engage one of our assistant planner / code enforcement officer to help me and take some of the charge on reviewing the state code and what our deficiencies are. So hopefully Diane will be meeting you next month.
Excellent. Good.
And going over some of those items. We're actively pursuing the rezoning Phase 4 for those 2 apartment buildings, basically across the way from City Hall, the industrial properties. So hopefully we'll be bringing those forward in the next few months.
Fine.
So that's...
Questions for Administrator Barry? Great, thank you. We're looking forward to next month there for our comprehensive plan part of
Yes.
it there. That's great.
Right, well, thank
Good.
you. This is our first time here, and I'm
This is amazing.
very pleased. It's a really nice venue, and a great change from our previous digs, if you may. So, no, this is very nice. Thank you. I hope you enjoy it as well.
Yes.
Very much. Thank you. Well, with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. The time is 7:47. All right.
Cool.
Cool. And congratulations. That's outstanding. I didn't even realize you were...